We've won 2 of the 6 trophies we need to complete the Viking Conquest challenge, and we might be about to win trophy number 3. With 6 games to go in the Norwegian Eliteserien, we have a 3-point lead over Bodo Glimt, but they have a game in hand on us. And that's about to extend to 2 games in hand, as we play Lillestrøm midweek, where we took the lead thanks to Vitor Hugo. But a late equaliser from the home side meant the points are shared, creating an opportunity for Bodo Glimt. In their first match, they beat odds 3-1, meaning they're 1 point behind us. So if they beat Viking, they go 2 points ahead. The title race is no longer in our hands. We started our final 5 games with a 3-1 win at home against 6th place Vålerenga, before travelling to 10th place Kristiansund and winning 6-2. Both Pau Victor and Stefan Orson scored braces in this match. Bodo Glimt, on the other hand, beat 15th place Strømsgodset 2-1, but slipped up and drew against Molde, who sit 3rd in the table. As a result, we're now back on top of the table by virtue of goal difference with 3 games to go. But Bodo Glimt have much easier matches to play than we do, so our backs are still against the wall. However, Bodo drew at home against Tromsø, creating an opportunity for us, which we took. We scored twice past Stabæk to win 2-0, which means we now have a 2-point gap over our title rivals with 2 games to go. All 3 of our attackers scored past odds as we won 4-0. Victor Hugo got the first, Stefan Orson did amazingly well to get the second, and Pau Victor scored the third with a powerful header. But Bodo also won, taking the title to the final day. So as long as we avoid defeat against Molde, the title is ours. But Molde are 3rd in the table and only 8 points behind us. However, we were up for it, and less than 60 seconds into the match, we were advancing forwards quickly, finding Pau Victor, who somehow missed the target. Not to worry though, because just a few moments later, Orson had a chance to get a shot away, and he hit the post. But the 3rd time is always a charm. 5 minutes into the game, we worked the ball into the penalty area, found Pau Victor, and he gave us the all-important lead. We then did a great job to win the ball back in our own penalty area and go on the counter. Eamon Eckes' ball to Orson was wonderful, and the finish was even better. It's just a shame he was stood about 6 yards offside. Because just after that, some horrible defending from right-back Holland allowed Molde to head themselves back on level terms. But in added time in the first half, we were piling on the pressure, keeping possession in the penalty area and smashing home a second goal to retake the lead as we head into the halftime break. But Molde must have had an insane halftime team talk, because just 26 seconds into the second half, they equalised again thanks to another poor piece of aerial defending. Shortly after that, Bodo Glimt took the lead in their match, meaning the title fight is on a knife's edge. Thanks to our goal difference, a draw is enough to win, but if Molde score again, it's all over. So I took off Stefan Orson, who hadn't performed today, for backup striker Tom Rune-Staven in the hope of a 3rd goal. He's a big guy, so he was the target for our corner, which got cleared. But we managed to recycle possession, get it to Vitor Hugo, who played the ball to Staven's feet, and he scored us the all-important 3rd goal, winning us the match and the Eliteserien title, the 3rd trophy we need to win in the Viking Conquest challenge. Now we just need to focus on winning in Sweden and Denmark. There are some jobs available, but both sides in Sweden have just been relegated, and Viel are bottom of the table in Denmark. So instead, I decided to resign as Rosenborg manager and wait for an opportunity midway through next season. It's been 7 months since I resigned, and in that time, not a single job has become available in the Allsvenskan or the Superliga. Until now. Djurgårdens have sacked their manager as the 12-time champions languish 9th in the Swedish Allsvenskan. So I applied, and the fans liked it, considering me a leading candidate. But so did Austria, England, France, Italy, Norway, Portugal, and Spain, who are all making managerial changes following the 2032 European Championships. Sorry fellas, I just have a way more exciting opportunity on my desk. An interview at Djurgårdens. Apparently, the last manager didn't get on well with with the fans, so they want to know if I could, and I promised them that I'd be able to. But the far bigger worry for them is that I haven't managed in Sweden before. So I said I've always wanted to manage in the country, which is true. Malmo have turned me down twice. I just need to be given the chance. And they gave me that chance. I signed the contract, and I am now the manager of Djurgårdens. But it might not be for very long. When Djurgårdens sacked their manager, they were 9th in the table. But the caretaker has done a very good job in the meantime. Because as I join, we're 4th in the table, 1 point off the top with 13 games to go, in one of the most insane title fights I have ever seen. Just 6 points separate 1st from 11th. If we get the formation and tactics spot on and hit the ground running, we could be in with a chance of winning the title this season. Filip Raspor is currently the league's top goal scorer, so he needs to be the focal point of our attack. Malik Diallo on the left wing also looks like a very handy player, so I have high hopes for the young Senegalese. But our best players on paper are all defensively minded, so I'm setting us up in a more defensive 4-3-3 shape, but our instructions are a bit more forward-thinking to make sure we can utilise Raspor and Diallo. In my first game, we started strong, as we scored 2 goals in the first 10 minutes for an early 2-0 lead. But I wasn't going to get my first win. Vasilunds came back in the final 20 minutes of the game, scoring twice, meaning we drew. So we just have to win against Helsingborgs instead, and we took the lead in the 52nd minute. But we messed up at the back and gifted our opponents a 1-on-1 opportunity, which they scored in the 89th minute to draw my second match. So when it came to our third game, I was determined we were going to win. Early in the second half, we were winning 2-0, and I was feeling very confident. That was until our centre-back pushed over Varnamo's striker in the penalty area, gifting them a spot kick, which they scored. And they then scored again in the 85th minute to make it 3 draws from 3 games. Thankfully, we finally did win our next game, although we didn't score the winner until the 90th minute. We then beat Mjällby 6-1 away from home, showing what this team is capable of. But we got back to drawing against Östersunds after once again we took the lead early on in the game, only to be pegged back. However, despite drawing 4 and winning 2, we actually move up to 3rd in the table, and we're only 4 points off the top with 6 more games to play, although there are some other teams around us with games in hand on us. Next up is a personal rivalry for me. It's against Malmo, who have rejected me twice. Annoyingly, they scored first in this match, but our time would come. In his return from an injury, Filip Raspor scored not 1, not 2, but 3 goals in the second half to give us a 3-1 lead, which was pretty lucky because Malmo scored in the 89th minute. We then won our actual derby 2-1 at home against Hammarby by scoring a 94th minute penalty, but a 0-0 draw with second place Göteborg and then a 1-0 loss to Häcken meant just one thing. With 2 games to go, it is now impossible for us to win the title. But given we got so close after taking over halfway through the season, I think with a strong summer, we could be in with a really good chance of winning the title next season. I am taking a huge gamble on the future of the club because I sold 13 players over the transfer window for a combined fee of almost 9 million. Now, I only did this because we had too many players in the squad to start off with, and I also think the scouts have found some better players to replace the ones we sold. I spent 7.5 million on 10 new first teamers to improve the squad. The most expensive acquisition is a familiar face. Vitor Hugo was transfer listed by Rosenborg, so we snapped him up for 1.9 million. He'll play a deeper role as a centre midfielder for us, rather than the shadow striker role that we had him playing in at Rosenborg. And we also signed Egyptian Bassem Ramadan from another one of our former clubs, HJK. He'll be back up to Raspor and take his spot if he doesn't perform. But I actually think our best signing is a promotion. Andre Gunnarsson was in the reserves, although I'm not quite sure why or how. He's only played 30 times for the club in his 4 seasons here, but he looks insanely good as an inside forwards. All this means is that we are the pre-season favourites for the title. So if we don't win it, it is a big bottle job. We beat Helsingborg 3-0 on the opening day of the season, with Filip Raspor netting a brace and left winger Malik Diallo scoring the other. It took Andre Gunnarsson 6 games to score his first goal, but it was vital. His 88th minute strike saw us beat Kalmar 2-1. Vitor Hugo also took his time to score, but seeing as he's playing a deeper role than he's used to, that is to be expected. And Bassam Ramadan was also doing a good job. It turns out Raspor is kind of injury prone, so he misses a few games every few weeks. Luckily, Ramadan was performing. When he started matches, he's got 3 goals to his name. We weren't unstoppable though. AIK beat us 3-1 and Östersunds beat us 4-1, both away from home. So just before our month-long summer break, we're 3rd in the table, 2 points behind our big rivals, Hammarby. Frustratingly, we lost to Hammarby after the break 1-0, but this had a net positive effect on the team. Andre Gunnarsson took the loss personally, and as a result, he went on a scoring spree. His goals helped us beat Vasselens 3-0, AIK 5-0, Sandvikens 3-2, and Holmstad's 2-0 as we chased down Hammarby in the league table. The other winger, Diallo, was also scoring plenty of important goals. He got the goal that took us ahead and eventually beat Kalmar 4-2. We won 8 games in a row after the Hammarby defeat, until Malmö beat us 3-1, which then led to us drawing 3-3 with the reigning champions Harkham. But our good form has taken us top of the table with 5 games to go. We're 2 points ahead of Hammarby in 3rd and a point ahead of AIK with a game in hand. We started our final run of the games by beating GAIS 2-0 away from home. We then survived a late comeback from Östersunds to just win the match 2-1 and keep the wins coming. Göteborg were much easier to beat luckily, as Raspor and Gunnarsson both scored braces as we dismantled them 6-1. So we've done amazingly well to collect 9 points from those 3 games. The issue is, Hammarby have completely matched us. They remain 2 points behind us with 2 games to go, but we could win the title in our next match. Because we're playing Hammarby next, and if we win, we'll be 5 points clear with 1 game to go. 5 minutes in, right back Maestro advanced down the far side of the pitch, but his cross was just dealt with before Raspor could unleash a shot. The clearance fell to our players and we could recycle the ball to continue our attack, playing it down the near side, threading a pass through to Raspor, who hit the post. Undeterred, we kept persisting. Diallo had plenty of space to run into and cleverly got past his man, found Vitor Hugo, whose deflected shot met the back of the net. Things only got better for us 32 minutes in when Hammarby striker Yusuf Arabi went straight through our player and was given a straight red card. With their main goal threat gone, we now had to extend our lead. Left back Karlsson did well to put a low cross in the middle, and once again Vitor Hugo was there to deliver the goods. At the break, we hold a huge 2-0 lead and have one hand on the trophy. The second half, by contrast, was really tame. Very few chances were shown as highlights, as we cruised to a 2-0 Derby Day victory, claiming the Allsvenskan title in the process, winning our 4th trophy of the Viking Conquest Challenge. All we have left to do now is Denmark and the Champions League. It is very likely that we're going to complete this challenge by winning the Champions League with a team from Denmark. Of all the countries that we are allowed to manage in this challenge, the Danish clubs are the richest and they have the fewest restrictions on building squads. My preference would be to manage FC Midtjylland, as they recently broke into the top 10 for the world's best youth academies, and they've won the last 9 league titles in a row. But because of that, the Midtjylland job does not come up very often, so we're going to have to take a job somewhere else. The only job available right now is at FC Nordsjælland, so I've applied and they came back offering me an interview. We went through the usual rigmarole. They're concerned I haven't managed in Denmark before, why do I want to leave Djurgårdens after being so successful there, and can I maintain a good dressing room atmosphere? I entered them all in my usual cocky manner, and it worked. They offered me the job, and we've now made it to Denmark. The Superliga is the only league in this challenge that follows the typical European calendar, so we actually joined 17 games into the season, and we're bottom of the table. You could argue that this is still technically season 10, but given we have completed 10 full seasons at other clubs, this is now season 11, and we have just 3.5 seasons left to win this division and the Champions League. The team isn't great. Our best player is Danish winger Kasper Kappenberger, and even then, he's just a pace merchant. I'm also really concerned that our best striker, Christopher Appelgren only has 5 finishing. So to see out the season, I'm putting us in a default 4-3-3 wing play formation to try and avoid relegation. My first game in charge didn't go well, as we lost 4-1 away from home to relegation rivals Randers, giving them vital points in the battle to avoid the drop. We did have a glimmer of hope when we beat 4th place AAB 1-0 at home, only to then have our spirit crushed by Brøndby, who are also in a relegation battle with us. Thankfully, we won our next 2 games as we beat Lyngby 4-1 at home with a Christopher Appelgren goal, and he also got the first goal in a 2-0 win against Esbjerg. Both of these teams are in a relegation battle with us, so these 6 points were mega important. This brings us to the end of the regular season, where we've just climbed off the bottom spot. The league now splits into 2, with the top 6 fighting for the title, whilst the bottom 6 fight to avoid 2 automatic relegation spots. We now play the other 5 teams home and away, and we got off to a terrible start. We lost to Randers 4-1 for the second time, but this time the match was at home. Luckily, we did get revenge over Brøndby by winning 3-1 at their place as Appelgren scored again. However, we then suffered back-to-back draws against OB and Lyngby, keeping us well and truly in the danger zone. A desperate 1-0 win over Esbjerg thanks to Appelgren gives us some temporary respite as we just climb out of the bottom 2. After the first 5 games, we're now 2 points clear of the relegation zone, but it could very easily turn bad for us. And we missed the opportunity to go 5 points clear of Randers as we drew 0-0. But we did pick up 3 incredibly important points as we beat Brøndby 2-0 at home. However, we then almost lost to OB. Right back Navarro tripped up the OB attacker in the penalty area, and they scored the resulting penalty, and we were staring down defeat. But in the 93rd minute, a powerful header earned us a crucial point, because with 2 games to go, it keeps us a single point ahead of the relegation zone, as 5 teams still aren't safe from the drop. If we get relegated, this would be detrimental to our chances of completing the Viking Conquest challenge within the 15-season time limit. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to be the first to know when the next episode releases, to find out if we can avoid the drop and stay in the Danish Superliga, or we have a crisis.